Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for many labels, so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. But need OG Keith.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Frankie Candles live stream right here at 5:45 every weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. And Bitcoin absolutely fighting for its life here, attempting to not get down to the POC at about $96,633, guys. Is that our next stop for Bitcoin? Is there more downside ahead? What is coming next? We're going to break it all down in today's live stream. As you guys know, I did take a little bit of a scalp long, or I was in a scalp long, or I still technically am. But of course, only looking for that to be a scalp until rolling back over to come down to some lower prices. So are we about to see those lower prices? Of course, I'm going to break down exactly what I'm looking at here on the charts. We'll take a look at the key levels, the money flow, all that good stuff. And hopefully, guys, I don't know, Bitcoin's going to really have to dodge a bullet here if I'm being totally honest. But shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. We got Astro Zombie in the chat. What is going on, man? Welcome in. We got Jesse, K Diggity Phoebe says hi. She misses you, Kay. Yeah, she said you didn't call her last night. She was very upset. But shout out to K Diggity. We got Dave in the chat. We're not talking about Dave Digital. We got Marco in the chat. What is going on? Linda Campbell says, I'm bullish. Shout out to Linda Campbell. Well, we'll take a look at the charts. Hopefully the charts are agreeing with you. And, of course, guys, I'm only going to give you that raw information. No emotional biases here. And, of course, sometimes unfortunately, the charts are just pointing down. But, of course, I'll give you guys all the information. We'll talk about the bullish case, the bearish case. I'll let you know which way I'm leading. We got Rudy in the chat. What is going on, guys? Don't forget to show the mods some love. We got Jesse, Darren Does Things, Rob the Crypto Snob, Tyler Jordan, Crypto Billy, Dave Digital. You guys know who they are. Show them some love in the chat. Tony D dropping a poll here. Is Bitcoin actually in trouble? Let's see here as the votes roll in. Yes, this is too sketchy. Winning the vote right now at 54%, saying this is too sketchy. Oh, man, it's not even everybody vote on that. Everybody vote on that. Come on, we got to. Oh, man. Yeah, all right. So everybody's feeling a little sketched out. So we'll take a look at the charts, guys, and we'll see if the charts are as sketchy as the sentiment in the chat. I'll give you a hint, guys. You're pretty dang close. So with all that being said, guys, quick little reminder here, guys. Tomorrow I will be traveling, so I may have to cancel the live stream tomorrow night. I'm not 100% sure we might be here, but be aware of that. But don't worry, we will drop a market. If I do have to leave and we are not going to do the live stream, I will drop a market update, so make sure you have the notifications turned on so you don't miss that market update. And who knows, maybe I'll just do the live stream, but I do have to hit the road tomorrow, so I might leave earlier than the live stream. Let's see, last bull run, it dumped from 68 to 28. Back to 69. Do you think that's possible this cycle? Well, shout out to Zaza Wicks. I like that name, bro. I'm going to talk about kind of what I'm not only the levels, but kind of what I would expect price action to look like if we are going to go much lower. We got the high time frame money flow coming out, guys. Oh, God, I'm going to try not to harp on the long term too much here. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead. Fox 3 is in the chat, so we're good to go here. So let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, let's see. Shout out to Tony D said, oh, man, I forgot he was in here, guys. Where are you going and why wasn't I invited? Shout out to Tony D. We have I have like a super secret thing for all the friends are going to be there and stuff. It's just you wouldn't be interested. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I am traveling to my family's house for my niece's christening or baptism. I'm sorry. So, yeah, shout out to Little Bambina Candles. But let's go ahead and jump in here, guys. Now, obviously, as you know, I'm going to pull off this larger range. So, obviously, guys, we had two major ranges that we've been looking at here. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's all pretty much the same. But we had this volume profile up here. We eventually did lose it, identifying that we would very likely lose this level or this range based off our 4-hour money flow. And, of course, that 4-hour money flow is still coming out pretty aggressively. And yesterday, I was talking about the scalp long that I was holding, and I am still holding this, guys. Up about $1,000 unrealized. Still got a little bit of money locked in here, but was viewing this as a little bit of a scalp position. And really the major target that I was looking to come up to, or, as I was talking about on the live stream, like not super confident in that being like the low for a massive push to the upside, but really viewing that to see if we can get a move at least up into the 50-week moving average. And then once we were able to flip that, that's where we could potentially look higher. But of course, we have now lost that once again. So, what are the chances? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am expecting to get stopped out in profit here because when we take a look at the money flow and the rest of the charts, I'll be honest, guys, there are some things pointing lower. But take that 50-week moving average off the chart just to kind of give you guys an idea of how we got to where we were or where we are currently. Of course, I did accidentally close this short position from 115K or 114.6 in full. I really wanted to take 50% off of that and then hold the rest of it for the overall continuation to the downside, because that is my overall thought process, guys. And we'll talk about the key levels of resistance in case we do somehow get a bounce from here and a continuation up. Even if we do, just like yesterday, I am really going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows. And it's not just the 4-hour money flow. If we take a look at the higher time frames, right, 12-hour and 16-hour money flow also continuing into the red. And of course, we had that 2-day money flow that we have been looking at forever, you know, just generally trending to the downside here. This is now crossed over into the red as well. Now, this does not mean that Bitcoin has to just nuke down to zero in one shot, right? The money flow is not an instant signal. It's just letting you know what the higher probability is as far as trend, right? The green and red dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market, ebb, flow, but the money flow indicates that overall trend. And we've been looking at this high time frame money flow coming to the downside. And of course, unfortunately, it was correct, indicating we would get that bigger drop down. But here's the thing, guys. We are fighting at this key level of support, like Bitcoin literally hanging on for dear life. Our thought process down here for our long position in the premium Discord was to see some kind of either an SFP down here, really an SFP of this wick, but we explained this yesterday, right? We didn't get the SFP, but we did see somewhat of a failed auction where we broke down below the level. We didn't get accepted. We flipped that level back to support. And of course, that long position continued to play out. This is really the only level of support that we have underneath us, or I mean, I guess at current price action. If we pull our fib from the low to the high here, you can see we are playing around with our key level, right? This is what we looked at yesterday. If we lose this 786, guys, and I'm not going to lie, my stop loss is absolutely getting tickled here. If we pull up that long position, you guys can see, like, they almost got me. I wish this wasn't. Let me hide this position real quick. There we go, right? Like, they just missed my stop loss by pennies yesterday, and then, like, it's just coming down here. It's getting very, very suspicious. My stop loss is like, come on, man, don't get me, don't get me. But you know, when we look at this, right, this 786 is the same level we looked at yesterday. You know, if we break down below that 786, I am, of course, going to be looking for a break of structure to the downside. Not only would the loss of the 786 indicate that, but also, you know, again, looking at that 4-hour money flow, looking at the 12-hour money flow, the 16-hour money flow, and even these VWAPs, guys, right? Money flow is coming out, but we also have these red dots potentially looking to print as well. So I'm just going to hold this, right? Stop loss at break even, still in profit here. If it continues to play out, that's beautiful. If not, I'll get stopped out in some profit. Not too bad. But I mean, we're here. This is really all we have underneath us. We lose that 786, guys. The only other level that I can really see underneath us is on our macro volume profile. I'll go ahead and hide this just to clean up the chart. Obviously, we knew how important this $108,000 level was. This was the level we needed to hold on top of to keep the idea of coming into new all-time highs open. We had that play out. And, you know, again, we got the big liquidation wick. We got the bounce. We came back down. We got the bounce. We came back down. We got the bounce. But now we have got a legitimate loss of this level, guys, which is just overall bearish, right? You know, because once you get accepted into that profile, of course, when you're looking at the laws of the volume profile, right? You get back in, you can't get out, right? The next likely place for price to eventually go, right? Doesn't mean you can't get a little more noise to the upside. That's why I say if we do get a continuation up here, I am still looking for lower highs and lower lows, not only based off the money flow, but also based off this volume profile. In order for us to take this POC out of the equation for our next target, right, you have to break out of this range. And the problem here is this value area high is key resistance, but right on top of that, you have even more important resistance, right? You really have to get back inside this range, in my opinion, right? Get back above about $111,300 to $112,000. Then we could start looking for higher prices on Bitcoin. But as long as we live inside of this macro range, I do have to say, right, the higher probability, especially with how money flow looks, is even if you get the pop-up, we have to keep this open as a target. And this is really the only level of support that we have down below. We don't really have this actual, let me pull up the daily real quick, right? This daily has already been tapped. This was part of the key level of support that we were looking at down here. We're currently holding it. But again, that money flow does indicate that we're probably going to lose this, in my opinion. So if we did break down below that local 786, I'll give you guys the actual numerical value of that level. So you can pull it up on your chart from the low all the way to the high. 786 sitting right here at about 100K, right? Like we lose 100K again. Yeah, of course. there's going to be opportunities for potential like local sweeps of liquidity, and like maybe like I would still be looking at these as like, you know, day trades or scalp trades until proven otherwise. Maybe we create a little bit of a range up here, but for the most part, right, like there's not a lot of horizontal support. We have no MPOCs, we have no weekly levels, no daily levels, really nothing underneath us until we get down to that POC, which currently sits at about $96,633. So we lose that 786. This is the next big target to the downside. Same thing we looked at yesterday, of course. And another thing that we were looking at yesterday was the idea of this momentum wave, right? Yesterday, this was looking like we had this fat momentum wave to the downside. We could call this an anchor wave getting below that negative 60 line. And then, you know, what it kind of looks like to me, right? I can never unsee this. It did look like we could potentially create a bullish divergence here, which would eventually call for a break of structure to the downside because we're going to need that lower low to come in. So I'm going to still be looking out for this. And to be honest, right, it's like maybe we get a whole, like, that's the line in the sand, right? $100,000, that's 786. If we could stay above there, we could look for a bigger retracement. But once we lose that, this is the next level, $96,633. And I'm going to be sitting there for our next opportunity to look for a bounce. Now, as I've covered, right, honestly, like all the way back here, every time we bring up these levels, guys, when we start to get into this volume profile, we say to ourselves, like, what is the biggest level of support? Now, obviously, the POC is a key level, right? It's the biggest highest volume node within the profile, the strongest magnet within the profile, which, again, could indicate that we're getting down there. But we don't have any confluence here, right? Like you have the POC and that's about it, right? We have no dailies, no weeklies, no nothing. So this is a level of support, but to be honest, right, like when we pull our Fibonacci retracement, all of the confluence, in my opinion, well, not even really in my opinion, but just based off the charts, right? The bigger confluence is really sitting towards the value area low, which of course is going to be that final target within this volume profile, right? You get accepted inside the volume profile. If you can't get back out of here, well, what are you going to be looking for? You're going to be looking for that continuation through the range into the POC. You could potentially get some turbulence there. We will be looking for longs, but of course, lower time frame, shorter term longs for an eventual continuation back down to that value area low, right, for the full fill of that volume profile. And when we look at this level, you have the golden pocket, you have the value area low, and you also have two daily naked points of controls down here, right? One on the top of the golden pocket and then one right here at the value area low. And this zone does sit between, I would call it about 94,000. Let me zoom in here and get this a little bit more accurate. Right, of course, it is going to be a zone sitting at about 94,357, all the way down to the value area low at about $91,321. So the reason I like this level more is just simply golden pocket, daily MPOC, value area low. That's 4 levels of confluence, and the POC just doesn't really have anything, right? So again, like sure, this is support, but eventually I am going to look for a push down here because this is just the stronger level. Could we bounce off the the point of control of the range? Sure. But again, I'm going to be looking at to be lackluster, lower high, lower low. And that is based off money flow, guys. And I know nobody ever wants to hear money flow is coming out. We're going lower. But again, this is exactly how we were able to hold our short position from 115K about all the way to look for this continuation lower, right? Had everything to do with this money flow crossing into the red. And when we look at the 2-day, right, that's a fresh money flow crossover. So once we get these green dots to print on the higher time frames, maybe we have to come down first. That could indicate, right, the high time frame green dots could give us a pretty significant correction. But again, that money flow is going to keep you on the right side of the trend. I would look at this as an ebb or flow to the upside for a lower high and a lower low to come. And I'm going to go over some of these local levels of resistance where we would be likely to put in lower highs. And then we're also going to take a look at the altcoins, also taking a look at our liquidity, guys, on the 1-month time frame here. Obviously, $116,000 is where we have our next real significant level of liquidity. So, when we view this from a simple, let me just get this off the chart. I don't want to keep it all nice and clean here. Turn off the daily MPOCs. So when we look at our local range here, right, if we do get a bigger retracement to the upside, the biggest key levels I'll look at are just simply going to be this value area low, right? Let's just assume that we are going to get a bigger bounce up. Again, I would say that's probably lower probability. I am expecting to get stopped out of this short position or this long position, just to be crystal clear. But if we do get that bigger continuation up, guys, we have a golden pocket, value area low confluence here. We also have the anchored VWAP from 116K coming in that zone as well. So if we did get a push to the upside, this is the next level of resistance I will be looking at. It's a golden pocket 786. The 786 comes in just above that anchored VWAP at 108,560. So you could technically look at this as a little bit of a larger zone, right? I'm more inclined to look at this as 2 separate levels, right? But that's just kind of personal preference, right? Like this could be the first place to look for a lower high and then a lower low. Again, breaking structure to the downside and targeting that range point of control down here. And if we creep up here, we just have to understand that 786 is still sitting up here as well, right? So it's not until we get above that 786. And then what are we also doing once we get above that 786? Well, we're also getting above our macro value area high. You can see the confluence there on that 786. So if I, until we get back into this range, guys, I'm going to be very suspicious for lower highs and lower lows, right? Once we get above this, then we could look for a potential bigger retracement through the rest of this profile, which gives me the next key level of resistance, which is essentially just going to be this liquidity sitting up here, right? At that point, we'll be looking at this as, hey, we got the bounce. We're back above the value area high. We're back above the value area low, right? We can then look for the continuation through this range. PLC is obviously going to be resistance, but if we can stay inside the range, we'll look for the full fill, and then we might want to go up and sweep out some of that liquidity that we have up here. Once we get up there, guys, it looks a bit better, right? But again, it's hard for me to say if we get a push up here if that 2-day money flow is going to be crossing back into the green. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, once we get in this range, it's like guaranteed all-time highs. It starts to look a little bit better. And why is that? Well, if we take off our local range and we pull up our main volume profile, you're back inside this upper value, which is very nice, right? Like when you pull up these two major volume profiles, lower value, upper value, the real big sign of strength, in my opinion, is not only getting inside this upper range, but also breaking above 116K to push up into this value area high. And that's where it starts to feel a little bit better. But as you can see, we do have quite a bit of work to get up there, right? It's a 15% rip to the upside. And even then, right, you still have the golden pocket and the 786 retracement, which are going to be big levels to look at for rejections. If I had money flow coming up on a lot of the higher time frames, I would feel really good about bounces from these levels for massive new all-time highs. But as I show on every single live stream, guys, this is the opposite of what you want to see for massive pushes up, right? Just from a chart perspective, right? Whether the cycle extends or, whatever, case you might be looking at for a bigger push to the upside, it's just not on the charts here, in my personal opinion. Now, it could change, right? Maybe we get the little dip down here, right? And then we push up. Money flow starts cooking to the upside. We get some good news. They start printing money, something like that. But just from a simple chart-based perspective, guys, like this is not really what I like to see for massive pushes into new all-time highs. If we work up there, things start to shape up a little bit better. We'll probably have some signs that we can look at up here that would indicate that things are looking a lot better and we can get a bigger push up. But until that happens, right, I have to remain with this more bearish bias. And of course, that doesn't mean that you can't long. I'm literally holding a long position right now. If it turns into this is the bottom and we get a big rip up, cool, that plays out. But again, it's not my base case here, guys. I want to be very clear about that. 3-day money flow also continuing down very aggressively. And the reason why, right, this makes me a little bit concerned is because, again, when we bring up the timing of the cycles here, obviously we are coming up to what you would expect the end of the 4-year cycle to be. Of course, 2026 would be expected to be a bear market. So if you're going to be paying attention to the 4-year cycles, like this is not where you want to see all this high time frame money flow coming out, right? If we go back to 2021, right, you have your, let me pull up the 3-day here real quick. 2021, you had the, or actually, we'll pull up the 2-day, right? 2021, you have a big green wave. You come into the red here for that big correction down. Then we get another all-time high on another green money flow wave. And from a timing perspective, guys, we are, somewhere in here, in my opinion. So, like, once you see that 2-day money flow crossover, right, it's a high time frame. That means your high time frame trend is likely to continue down. And this is why, right, like, even back here, when I'm looking at, like, I don't know, maybe you're looking at this local retracement, it's like, you're pushing down here. Your money flow is about to cross over into the red, right? At this point, like, sure, you can look for bounces, but are you looking for it to be a massive move up? Probably not. This is a very similar situation to what we have happening right now, right? Like, we get the big drop down. We're pushing into some key levels, but look at your money flow, right? Like, a lot of people would think, like, oh, my God, this is beautiful, higher low, higher high, 100K incoming, but that money flow is pointing directly in the wrong direction. It's almost the exact same thing. And when you see these 2-day, 3-day money flow crossovers this late in the cycle, I mean, look what happens next, right? It indicates, sure, you get a little bounce, right? But it indicates you have the trend continuing to the downside. You even got a little bit choppy here on the 3-day money flow. But, just from a simple kind of thought process, right? Like, you have this 3-day money flow coming out. You have this 2-day money flow coming out. We're already, timing-wise, somewhere in here within the 4-year cycle. This is definitely concerning, right, for the long-term continuation up on Bitcoin. Like, I really do think, right, of course, money printing can change this. looser monetary policy, whatever it is, right? Like things can change, but you're really just betting on this time being different. And I pray that it is, but I just can't ignore this stuff on the charts, right? Like I always say, I'm here to give you guys raw information. And if the charts look different, I would be forced to say that, right? This is not me like I'm bearish because I want to be right? Like this is just me bringing the raw information on the charts. If I had it coming up, if I had massive bullish signals, I'd feel a lot better. Now, of course, this doesn't make me just say, oh my God, we're guaranteed never going back up. It's the bear market. But when you start to line all this stuff up, it starts to look very, very, very suspicious. And like, again, not just making this up, going back and looking at like almost the exact timing of the cycle with the exact money flow crossovers, with almost all of the exact bearish confirmations that we had. Weekly bearish divergence, weekly bearish divergence, 2-week bearish divergence, 2-week bearish divergence, monthly bearish divergence, monthly bearish divergence. We're having almost every single bearish sign that we saw in 2021 with the money flow crossovers happening at the exact same time. So this just naturally makes me like, this is interesting, right? So just be aware of that. And I'll just leave that there. I don't want to harp on the bearish case too much, right? And of course, there's always the bullish case. If we did get the push up, like we just got to get above all this resistance that I just went over. It's just like I look above us and it's just like all this massive support is just going to flip into resistance. And right now we're below the 50-week moving average, which just doesn't really make me feel too hot, right? It's like we're still below that 50-week. If we start closing multiple weekly candles down here, guys, it's not a good sign. Maybe this is the first cycle where we don't get the rejection from it, right? This has happened every cycle, multiple weekly candle closures, bearish retest, continuation down. Maybe this is the first cycle where that doesn't play out. But to kind of answer the question that I had in the chat in the beginning of the stream, which was basically like, how would you expect some kind of like a bigger retracement? Of course, right? I wouldn't necessarily say that losing this and closing 2 weekly candles down here would indicate that we're just going to go down in a straight line. You could have some kind of retracement just like we did back here. Right, you get the drop below. Obviously, you close those multiple weekly candles. But like even here, right, you get a little retracement. You get a little retracement. These are sizable pumps, right? It's like, oh my God, Bitcoin's up. Let me time this out real quick, right? Bitcoin's up 50% in the past 2 months. This is bullish, right? And it's like, well, look at your money flow, right? Not every pump is just bullish. You have to keep the long-term context in mind. So that's the situation that we're in, right? If we did come down to our bigger level down here at about $92,000 to $94,000, actually, now that I think about it, we probably should have made the thumbnail like 92K incoming ? But if we did get the bigger push down here, bounce off the POC, right? This could be confusing and messy, but eventually if we come down to that value area low, like this is the next place where I'd be willing to look for like significant long positions, right? But not longing it saying, oh my God, new all-time highs, right? Sure, that could be the case, maybe, but I would let that hit me by surprise, right? If I catch the long here on the value area low, look to go to the POC, TP1, stop loss to break even, and then if we want to continue up to the value area high, we can look to fill the range in full. Maybe we range around here a little bit, right? But when we look at this, right, at this point, if price continues down, what is this money flow going to look like? It's going to be crossing into the red, which is not what you want to see for a massive move into new all-time highs, right? So I'm just here bringing the information. Don't shoot the messenger. But if it looks different, I'll be the first person to let you know. But I know it can get confusing for some people, right? I'm speaking from a trading perspective. I'm going to be interested in bounces here, right, to make some money. That does not mean I'm expecting all-time highs. And if I front run this, I would have to say if this money flow is coming out, unless we come down here and for some reason the money flow is just shooting into the green, maybe it changes. But very likely if we continue down here, all this money flow is going to be coming out, which again is a very, very bearish sign this late in the cycle. So again, it's like when I try to think of the bullish case, it's like, well, this time just has to be completely different, right? And I understand that if they print money, we could see everything melt up. The other thing is too, right, like you look at the stock market here, and it's like, we're at all-time highs. Like, if this thing is going to get a big correction, Bitcoin is very likely to follow that. And to be, if we are going to get money printing, right, like this could take some time, right? Regardless of what all the news is and stuff, right, all this stuff can change, right? They can have like really dovish language or whatever it is, right? The FOMC meetings can be super bullish and then they come back and it just all flips around. This is why I just pay attention to the charts, right? Because I don't have to like guess what they're going to say or anything. I'm just sticking to the charts. And more often than not, guys, I would say about 80 to 90% of the time, if the charts are looking bearish, right, like whatever the news is just going to match that. It's very rare, right? I want to say it's definitely not impossible, but it is more rare that you see the charts looking super bearish and then all of a sudden like some news is able to just get you out of there, unless it's totally unpredictable, right? Maybe the next FOMC meeting, they're just going to shock everybody. They're like, oh my God, we're going to start printing money like crazy. It's going to be a new back in 2020. It's going to be the same situation. We're going to, everything's going to go up. But very likely, right, even if they were saying that now, the charts are probably indicating what is eventually going to take place here, which is obviously not very bullish. So we'll see. I am praying, guys. I hope that all of this TA is wrong, and I can come up here in a couple of weeks and be like, hey, guys, everything's turning back around. It looks super bullish. But it is just impossible for me to have, like, super high hopes, like, even locally, right? But even on the long term, it's like it's very hard for me to say, like, everything looks really good. And it's not always my, I hate being the guy to come up here and say this stuff because nobody wants to hear it. But, I have a responsibility to just kind of give you guys the information with no emotional bias, to keep you guys on the right side of everything, right? Not that, this is never financial advice. You shouldn't just listen to some YouTuber, right? But, we've got almost all these big moves have all been called, right? We took the short from up here. We took the long from down here. We took the short from down here or up there. We took the long from down here. We shorted the all-time highs, closed it, caught another short up here for the continuation down. This is all based off the same things that I am looking at on the higher time frames for the long-term health of this bull market. And at this point, right, like it's not over until Q4 ends, in my opinion, or until we get those 2 weekly candle closures or 3 weekly candle closures below the 50-week moving average. But it's just not looking great, right? Like it doesn't look very likely to me that, at least as of right now, that we're just about to rip up, right? So like we really just need all this stuff to flip around. It's kind of been my sentiment ever since, right, things started looking more bearish. I'm like, guys, if we're going to see new all-time highs, I just need to see them come in. There's nothing on the charts calling for it. Like, it's not impossible, but we just have to see if it happens, right? It's impossible to, like, guarantee that the indicators are going to fake out, which is why I always just stick on the side of what they're saying, right? Kind of upset, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of upset that I closed this in full. I did go back into the exchange and figured out what went wrong there. Typically, when you hit close on any exchange, right, they give you like a little slider that tells you how much of the position you want to close. Wex is a little bit different. They just have like drop-down options, and I just accidentally closed the whole trade. I'm pretty upset about that because money flow was all pointing down, and this was supposed to be a little hedge position for a retracement, but I did want to hold this short to continue down lower. But, of course, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to catch shorts on the way up. So the most local level of resistance to look at on the way up here, guys, if we do get a continued bounce, which, again, is not looking super strong, is simply going to be, number one, 50-week moving average, $103,000 is obviously going to remain a key level to get above. If we can get above that and get a bigger push to the upside, I will simply be looking at our local range, right? If we push up here, it's a golden pocket 786. I'll be looking for rejections here. I don't know if I'm going to be lucky enough to get that short set up, to be honest. I might just have to let this come down, make some money on the long, and then, find that next setup at those lower prices. So I'm going to come into chat here, guys. What are we feeling? Oh, man, I was hoping that poll would change, but the poll is still 40%. Yes, this is too sketchy. We are actually in trouble. But let's see. Just invert market cipher, life looks good. Yeah, and that's kind of like the thought process that I have. It's like I look at that today, and I'm like, if I wanted to call, right, like contrary to probably what a lot of people think, is like I don't come up here and be like, oh, I'm going to be bearish. Like, trust me, I much prefer to call for higher prices. The problem is I have a boss, right? My boss is the chart. And if I had to call for higher prices, right, that's what we need to see. Big red wave crossing into the green. You'd hear me have a totally different tone down here if that was the case, but it's not, right? Like when you have to invert the indicators to like, try to make like a hypothetical bullish case, it's like, I think it's a good way to explain that. Like you literally need to flip this totally upside down to feel super bullish. If you're looking at the charts, right? Maybe we get some random news, and I'm all for that, right? If I can come up here tomorrow, we get some random news, and we skyrocket, I will come up here and thank God that the TA was wrong. But I just can't call against the TA. I never do, and I never will. There's been a couple of times where I've called fake outs on money flow, but it's very difficult to do. We got, there's a big element of luck there, right? Like I always show this example back here. Right, we had money flow coming out, right? But this is a totally different point in the cycle, right? Totally different point in the cycle. We had so much time. This was before the halving, right? So it's like, why would you be like looking for a new bear market to come in before the bull market starts? So it's a lot easier to call for a fake out on money flow here. I'm not necessarily looking for fake outs up here because we are coming up to the end of the 4-year cycle with all the bearish confirmations. So this is not a place where I'd feel comfortable just saying, hey, don't worry about the indicators, guys. We'll fake out, right? Much more probable in a situation where you're before the halving and you are already expecting higher prices for many reasons. So it is what it is, right? So we'll see what happens. And again, I don't expect it to be straight down if it is the case, right? If we can't get back above these levels, we're probably going to have some retracements. It'll be, a long, confusing journey. Like there's probably going to be glimmers of hope, and hopefully they turn into real hope. But if we are just going to continue down, there's going to be, some kind of retracements to come in here. Hopefully it's not just down in a straight line. But even in 2021, right? It's like you get the big liquidation, right? Then you wind up getting a 27% retracement. Then you get another big dump of about 37%, and then you get a 48% retracement. So there are going to be pumps and dumps here, and we're going to long those and short those. But I am just going to look to hold the shorts a bit longer, right? Like at this point, all of my short positions, which was the plan for this one, is just like I'm going to hold that with profits locked in, stop loss at break even, and just see if it continues to play out. So there you go. Let's come back into chat here. Shout out to SJ, said, who is going to trigger the bear market then? Don't you think that institutions won't let the bear come close for some time? Shout out to SJ. Not something I would look to trade based off of. But, it's like institutions, right? It's like, you just look at the stock market, right? Like the stock market goes into bear markets as well. Just because institutions are in the stock market doesn't mean that they're never going to see bear markets, right? So like back up here, 2021, 2022, right? I could just overlay this over Bitcoin. Just pull the SPY over Bitcoin real quick here. Right, you look at this, like they just track each other, right? So like when you look at 2021, let me come on over to the Bitstamp chart. Oh, this is the Bitstamp chart. Why won't this load? Well, either way, right? Like they both top out around the same time, right? So Bitcoin goes into a bear market, right? Institutions aren't necessarily in at this point, but Bitcoin goes into a bear market. But so is the SPY, right? Like just because institutions are there doesn't mean that there's not going to be a bear market, right? Like these literally track each other. If you had Bitcoin over the SPY, it literally looks exactly the same. So not something I would base my trades off of or my investments off of. Just because institutions are in does not mean that another bear market won't come, in my opinion, right? I don't even know if that's my opinion, right? It's just like how things work. So that's my 2 cents there. Shout out to Captain Kirk. Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Cap. Says, I love you, Mafia. And shout out to Jesse with the super chat. Says, so do I. Let's go. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for the super chats. And thank you guys for being the best mods on YouTube. Let's see. Shorting. Shout out to Necro says, what about rumors of BlackRock and tokenization? I mean, listen, like, could these things affect the price? Yes. But when you ask me, right, I said this yesterday. There's never been a time where I've listened to the charts and been like, oh, man, dang, I should have paid attention to that news. Never, ever. There's not one time, right? And I'm not saying that the charts are never going to be wrong, right? Like, the charts are obviously not going to be right 100% of the time. But, like, for me personally, like, there's always a narrative. There's always a news event or some kind of anticipated thing, right? This is not what I base my actions off of, right? Like, I can't say that won't be good, but it doesn't necessarily transfer one-to-one on price. It's the same thing with Ethereum, right? Like, people always talk about, oh, my God, Ethereum's at $1,400. It's going to zero. The gas fees, it's slow. There's so much better stuff out there. Sure, right? But that doesn't just translate one-to-one on price. This is where they were saying all that. What happens after that? A monster 255% move to the upside. So, are the gas fees really bad? Like, I get it, right? I've used ETH as well. So it's not that I would disagree with that. I'm not even saying that it's not a bad thing, but it just doesn't always transfer one-to-one on price. And we talk about this with the news events that I have marked out on our cycle chart, right? It's like, what would people be saying in past cycles, right? Well, they would be saying, where's it at, right? Well, they'd be saying like, oh my God, how could you be bearish on Bitcoin? Like CME futures just launched. And it's like, well, that was literally the top, right? Oh, how could you be bearish on Bitcoin? Like Facebook's getting involved. This is mass adoption. This literally right before the top, right? Back here, Coinbase IPO. This is mass adoption. How could you be bearish on Bitcoin? It's like, well, that was literally the top before a 55% correction. And then here, you have the ProShares futures ETF launch. How could you be bearish? This is mass adoption, bear market, right? So I'm not saying that stuff's not bullish. It just doesn't always transfer one-to-one on price, right? Like you would think this is a super bullish news event, but it doesn't mean you're just going to go up from there, right? Yesterday, someone in the chat said, yeah, it would just be too easy to hear bullish news, buy in, and make a bunch of money. And I couldn't agree more, right? So, and it doesn't mean that one day you're not going to get a bullish news event and then you're maybe going to continue up. But, just looking at the past, right, it's like this is why I don't pay that much attention to the narratives, right? Like they're not as important as the chart to me. And I've never gone back and been like, oh man, I should have paid attention to that news. I always keep up to date with it, but it's just like never like if this was a bullish news event and the charts looked bullish, I would be bullish. If this is a bullish news event and the charts look bearish, I'm bearish, right? I am 100%, almost 100% a technical trader. I'm not saying the fundamentals don't matter. I'm not saying the halvings don't matter. I'm not saying that like institutions being in isn't bullish long term, but it just doesn't transfer one-to-one. Like a lot of people be saying like, oh, we're not going to see a bear market this year or something like that. 100K incoming. Look at all this bullish news. Bear market still comes in. So that's my 2 cents, right? So there you go. Hopefully it helps you out. So yeah. All right, let's see here. Shout out to Mystic Ruin said, always remember the Dogecoin top coming in on the news everyone was waiting for. Yes, absolutely, right? Like this is not like something I've figured out, right? This is like just a very common thing in markets, right? News is oftentimes a retail trap, right? And hopefully that example I just showed you on the charts, right? Like I never just want to like talk out of my butt, right? There's reasons why I look at that stuff. Because you just test it in the past, right? And like even the El Salvador stuff, it's like the top was pretty much in, right? Especially if you count this top, right? Like we got a little sneeze above the all-time highs here. And like I remember being at Bitcoin Miami 2021, hearing this news, like they announced this news, and I was just like, oh my God, like this feels huge, right? This feels huge. And then when we came up here with all those bearish confirmations, I'm like, how does this make sense if this is going to be the top? That's just why I don't pay attention to the news as much, right? And it's not that I don't pay attention. I just don't use it I don't base my actions off of it. I would just let that hit me by surprise. If the news is going to pump it, sure. It's the same thing as the charts, right? It's like if we're going to put in all-time highs, I just need to see it happen. And in my opinion, it's got to happen fast. It's got to happen before the end of the year. So yeah, and we got to start moving before we close those 2 weekly candles below the 50-week moving average. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, I pray, guys. I pray. Trust me. Just because the charts are saying down doesn't mean I don't want it to go up. Yeah, I remember Elon marking the top of last cycle, and it is a little bit weird this cycle too, because it's not like you have mass euphoria up here. Right? I mean, you do have people saying, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, alt season's coming, everything's going higher. But you don't have like the massive euphoria, which is another thing that could be a check on the list of the bull case. And then you have like a couple of the bull market top indicators that haven't flashed yet, like the Pi cycle top, the MVRV Z-score. There's a couple of them that have not triggered, right? So there is an argument for the bullish case, especially as long as we have time in Q4. But at this point, right, it was a little bit better a couple weeks ago, right, when we had some of that stuff on the bull case, right? The bull bear market indicators not flashing yet. But at that point, right, you were still above this major level of support, right? Like this, don't forget, this was the big level that we've been talking about for some time, right? Initial breakout, it's okay to retest for new all-time highs. We got it. Retest it. All-time highs could still be open. All-time highs could still be open. It's really the acceptance in here that we didn't want. And now that we're getting stuck in here with that money flow indicating the continuation of the downtrend, I just have to say that's the higher probability based off the charts. And then like even if you look at money flow on the higher time frames, it's like if we just look at this, right? It's like let me take a look at the 2-day real quick. Right? So your 2-day, you had big green wave, huge green wave, and this was really the bull market wave, right? 2-day money flow, massive trend to the upside. Once this crossed over, guys, like I always say, I'm in the camp that this was really the all-time high in 2021, right? This was the peak in social sentiment. Retail didn't come back the second time, giving you a bearish divergence based off social sentiment and price action. And look at that 2-day money flow. You came back into the green, that's great, right? But what was it to do? Just put in one last squeaky all-time high to sweep the highs. Let's come over to the current price action. All right, we've had a couple oscillations here on the 2-day money flow, right? Big green wave, lower high. And now we are getting, right, first top comes in, or I mean, I guess the third major top comes in on a big green wave. You get one more all-time high on that money flow crossover just in time for the end of the 4-year cycle timing-wise. And then this crossover, if you're matching it up with 2021, ever since you got that second crossover, right, the top was in. And if we pull this, right, October, let me actually just measure this out real quick on the Bitstamp chart, right? Like, so we go from, I'll pull up the cycle chart here, right? Like when you look at it from a timing perspective, right? Like where are we compared to the 2021 cycle? Let's hide some of this stuff. Pull up the halvings to the tops, right? 546 days. This top came in. Let's make sure this is dead on accurate. Yeah, this came in 532 days. So it's like, we're like right up in here, right? It's like almost the exact same place. So that 2-day money flow crossing into the red is very similar to that last money flow crossover we had in the previous bull market. So, just food for thought, right? It doesn't guarantee that the bear market is here. Once we start getting closer to the end of 2026 with no new all-time high, that's where it really starts to look a lot more likely. So yeah. And here's the other thing. Shout out to New Earth says to all the people who won't stop whining about the bull market indicators not firing. Like, I don't necessarily think those need to fire either. And a lot of people say this time is different. This time is different. And I've presented the case many a times where it's like, what if this time is a little bit different, right? Maybe this winds up being very similar to the previous cycles where you top out around the same time, right? It's just like really crazy, guys, because it's like, how crazy would it be if the top is in? How closely these 4-year cycles mimic each other, right? And I don't just like put all my eggs in that basket, obviously, but it would just be so similar to the previous cycles, and it's almost like too good to be true that it's that similar. But then you look at the previous cycles, and it's like we have seen that happen many times, right? Like it's not like it's uncommon for a potential top to come in here. But what if it's a little different, right? What if this does mark a significant top, but it's not going to give you, but it's not going to give you the traditional 77, 75, 80% correction down? What if we go into 2026 and it's a bear market year, but the bear market is a little bit muted, right? We talked about this, a while back, and we actually talked about it this week, I believe. Like, you don't have massive euphoria, you don't have massive retail, so that could trigger a lot less panic, right? Which could mute the bear market a little bit. You also have institutions in, which maybe mutes the bear market or makes it worse if they start capitulating. But we'll just say maybe that mutes it a little bit as well. And this does wind up being the all-time high of this cycle, and the bear market is a little bit muted, right? Now, is there a reason to expect that? I would say the only reason to expect that is maybe it's a shorter bear market, maybe it's a less of a drawdown for this bear market, and then once they replace Powell, right, with someone who's going to more aggressively cut rates and print money, it's going to take time, right? Like, that's probably not, I don't think it's going to happen until like the middle of 2026. Maybe you see like an early bottom come in, and then you see money printing, and it facilitates an environment where we can see like an earlier pump or more aggressive pump. But that's all very speculative, right? So yeah, I'm not going to cover that too much, but it's just my thought process. When I sit here and look at the charts, guys, it's like not often that I'm sitting here at like midnight just staring at the chart like, so here we are again, end of the 4-year cycle. How is this one going to play out, right? And this is just really what I think about. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And, hopefully, who knows, right? Maybe we close the weekly candle above the 50-week, and then we don't have to even worry about it, right? At least we don't have to worry about it as much as we would think. If the top is in, 90% of people made no money and the majority got wrecked. Yeah, shout out to Bitfrog. I mean, most people who are buying Bitcoin in the bear market, right, all made massive profits. But obviously, a lot of people I think a lot of people this cycle were overexposed to altcoins, right, which is obviously has not been, right, we didn't get a true alt season, right? The only alt season we had was back here in Q4 of last year. And it wasn't a big alt season. I look at this as like a crypto rotation of capital, right? Like Bitcoin pumps, they start rotating their capital into altcoins. You get a little pop on the altcoins. But, that alt season was, very lackluster. And I think it's just because it was a rotation of capital within crypto rather than, the Fed injecting a ton of liquidity, bringing in all that new money. Because I know a lot of people are probably like, well, why did we even see the alts pump if there's no liquidity, right? If they're not printing money, how did the alts pump back in Q4 of last year? Well, it's probably just a capital rotation within crypto. Now, if we had money printing at that point, right, like I would argue if we were printing money through this entire cycle, altcoins probably would have ran with Bitcoin, right? More similar to what we've seen in some other cycles. So there's a lot that goes into it, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I find comfort just paying attention to the charts, because you're always going to have fighting narratives, guys. It happens every time. You got the mega bulls, the mega bears, and they're always talking about narrative. And like I always see that, and I'm just like, man, if they just look at the chart, they'd be on the right side. And of course, I could be wrong, right? The charts could be wrong this time, and it could shoot up, right? But that's fine, because I would be happy about that. I'd be happy to be wrong in this situation, right? It's not even me that's wrong. It'd be the charts, right? Which, I mean, I go off the charts, so it would make me wrong. But yeah, Let's see. This cycle cannot be compared to 2021. We had stimulus and money printing. Yeah, shout out to Patrick, 100%, right? And that's probably why the altcoins were running through that cycle with Bitcoin, right? Because we had a looser monetary policy, right? Like they were printing money like crazy. Rates were near zero, right? That's a much more... It's a better environment to facilitate like an explosive bull run like we've had, right? We just haven't seen that, right? Or we haven't had that, right? So you get like the pump, the correction, the pump, the correction, the pump, correction. And of course, without that money printing, sure, the alts pump in Q4 of last year, but without all that liquidity being injected, it makes the altcoins struggle, right? It's just like a fact of the matter. And that's why I say, like, could this time be different? Well, if they start printing money, maybe the altcoins can run. But if they don't start printing money, if Bitcoin doesn't put in a new all-time high, it's going to be a very difficult environment for the alts to run really heavy. So, again, like you're kind of just hoping that the money printing starts, which could happen, right? It's just very hard to predict when. And if they're not going to print until the middle of 2026, well, the beginning of 2026 could wind up being very bearish, which would make a lot of sense if you're looking at 2026 to be a quote-unquote bear market, right? So maybe, again, right, you get that 2026 bear market, but it's just not what we've had in the past, right? And then they start printing money. Maybe we get an early bottom. And, of course, we'll have plenty of time to think about that and speculate on what exactly will play out there. Dang, I missed 2021 haul. Shout out to Jennifer. Me too. Me too. Hey, shout out to BTC Bill. Let's go, baby. Gifting those Frankie Candles memberships. Come on. Keeping the morale high in these tough times for Bitcoin. So alts are dead forever. Regulation here. Nothing to speculate on. Winner chosen by VCs and banks soon. Yeah, shout out to Cosmic. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if... I don't think all alts will be dead forever, but you do have to remember, right? Like a lot of altcoins never return in the next bull cycle, right? So I just wouldn't say that like every altcoin is going to make a huge comeback. A lot of them, most of them won't come back. So yeah, and we have a changing environment within crypto as well. So that's going to change how things move. 2021 was out of control. Could have did a 20 to 100x on anything. Yeah, and I even said this way back in the day, right? Like I think potentially gone are the days where you throw a dart at the board, land on a random altcoin, and you get a 20x, right? Like you have to be a lot more selective with your altcoins nowadays, right? We're just in a different environment. Hopefully that's wrong, but let's see. Yeah, shout out to Jack said, bro, why all the explanations? No need to soothe folks. Yeah, I mean, hey, I agree with that, right? This is this is a trading site, not an investment site. Traders should grow to the point of being happy no matter what direction the market goes. And I repeat this every single live stream, right? Like the bear market as a trader should not scare you, right? Like the bear market does not bother me at all, right? Obviously your spot bags aren't going to run, but there is so much money to be made on these shorts to the downside and even long positions too. It's not like people say you can't long in a bear market. I'm just like, okay, whatever. You can absolutely long in a bear market, right? You can catch this long, right? You can even catch a little scalp long here, right? But obviously in a bear market, you're just going to favor the shorts, right? This is where you're going to be more inclined to sell the rips, not buy the dips. It's not that you can't buy the dips. You just have to understand that the trend's probably going to continue down. You want to take those quick profits before rolling back over to lower prices. But you can hold these short positions to continue to play out. So yeah, right, like as a trader, right, like the bear market does not scare us at all. And I went through a huge explanation yesterday where it's like the market is like a faucet, right? Like all we need is traders, right? For us to make our money, right? Other than spot bags, obviously. All you need is price to go up and down, right? Doesn't matter if it's going up or down or sideways, right? Like there's plenty of money to be made on all these moves, right? So like for me, it doesn't really bother me, right? Because as a trader, like I still have my job, right? But of course, in a bull market's nice because you kind of get double paid, right? Your Bitcoin's making you money, your altcoins are making you money, and you're longing and shorting and trading the bull market as well. But I'll be honest, like for me personally, I don't know what it is. I like trading a bear market more. There's something about the dumps that are just so nice. I can't really put any like legit reason behind that. But we had a blast in this bear market, right? I started my channel like right up in here. And, I had a lot of friends and family being like, man, you just started your channel and now Bitcoin's going down, man. That's rough. I'm like, what do you mean? We're getting paid, right? So Mafia makes money whether price goes up or down. So I 100% agree with you, bro. Doesn't really affect us, from a day-to-day standpoint. It's really just the spot bags. Shout out to Jack, said, Frankie, you are brutal. You're the only one that made me understand volume profiles. God Most High I don't even. I don't want to mispronounce that. But shout out to you, bless you, and Mrs. Mrs. Frankie or Mrs. Candle. Shout out to you, brother. I love you back, man. I love you back. Please marry the woman. Shout out to Jack. Let's go. CandleMafia wedding, guys. CandleMafia wedding. Shout out to K Diggity. I didn't think that, bro. Shout out to K Diggity. But now I know. But anyway, we will take, prices drop faster than it goes up. Maybe. I guess that's kind of my argument is like when it falls, it falls. The shorts, it's like if it plays, it plays. But I guess you could technically argue that in the bull market as well. Like when it goes, it goes. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Like it's just a fact of the matter, guys. I do not mind bear markets at all. There's so much money to be made. So I would also argue, right? Like if you think we're going to into a bear market, right? Like there is no better time to learn how to trade than now. Because if you learn how to trade in the previous bear market, and you make a bunch of money on the shorts, right? Well, guess what you can do when you're coming to. And the other thing it does, it keeps you in the game, right? You're not walking away from crypto and then waking up when price has already gotten a big run, right? You're not getting in late. You're actually staying focused on the chart, making money on the way down that you can then reinvest into your spot bags when the bear market comes, right? Not a lot of people are paying attention here. And I can tell you from a YouTube standpoint, right, the views are much better up here than they are. Well, they are pretty good in the bear market too. But when things start to bottom out, right, like this sideways price action, this bores everyone out of the market, right? Like a lot of people don't pay attention, and then they see a pushback up to 30K, whatever. Oh, it went back down. See? 30K, whatever. It went back down, whatever. And then they don't come back in until up here, and they're late. So there's no better time to learn how to trade than, if the bear market is coming, right? So there you go. It's the only way you can continue to make money in crypto. I mean, unless you're doing like DeFi or something, which is probably going to slow down as well. But, plenty of opportunity, guys. Bull market and technically another bull market, right? But let's see. Shout out to Leonard, said November 12th, the bull market starts. Shout out to Leonard. I forgot who it was. XT85, I think his name was. He said the bull market starts tomorrow. So maybe, I don't know. People always say that so confidently. I hope he's right. But people always like, bull market starts on this date. And I'm just always like, being who I am and understanding what I understand about the market, I'm just like, I don't know how that you could just pick a date and expect the bull market to start. Bull market is not just starting. Like maybe maybe on the 12th, the next leg up starts. I hope so. But that won't be confirmed until we put in a new all-time high. But this bull market is 100% not just starting. As a matter of fact, we're coming to the end, right? If you're going by the 4-year cycle, right? There's the bear market, the run up. You could argue that this break was the start of the bull market. Halving comes in. Like, we have been in a bull market for quite some time. Unless you're just talking about altcoins, right? Like, I would never tell anybody that, like, buying Bitcoin at 125K is a good time to enter, right? And a lot of people are saying, oh, bull market's just starting. I'm like, I don't know what that's based off of. Hopefully you have a legit reason, and hopefully you're right. I pray that you're right, brother. But, yeah, not looking good on the charts, in my opinion. Shout out to Mr. K, said, aren't the stats around day trading like 85% of people are not profitable? Shout out to Mr. K. Yeah, it's something like that. 85. I always say 95%. I don't think it's that high. But yeah, and here's the thing, right? I talk about this a lot. Why do most people lose money trading, right? A lot of people think it's because the strategy doesn't work. It's impossible. It's not the case at all, right? The reason most people lose money is because you could be an amazing analyst. You can have the best strategy, but most people don't have the discipline or the psychological control to actually pay themselves when they're in the green and protect themselves from losses, right? Most people are just trying to get rich quick, so they're just going to long their entire account with no stop loss, hoping for something like this. And sure, maybe they get lucky sometimes, but all it takes is one trade to go against you, and then all of a sudden you blow up your account, right? Most people don't use any kind of risk management strategy. So yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult thing. Like, you can get. Again, you could be the best analyst, you can have the best strategy, and still be a bad trader if you can't execute and manage the trades correctly, right? Like, I could take this short setup, right? I could take this short setup, and someone else could take this short setup. I could make money, and they could lose money. How is that possible? Well, when I take the short, I take profits on the way down, and I protect myself by moving my stop loss to break even. Once I take one take profit and move my stop loss to break even, guess what? It is a guaranteed winning trade. If it goes against me, I still get paid. Right? I'm not losing any money on that. And I do get stopped out at losses as well, but the losses are very small and the gains are much bigger. So one person could take the short up here, take profit, move their stop loss, and get paid out. The other person might take the trade and hold it, hoping for it to go to zero, and then the market shocks them and then wrecks them if they're not using a sound risk management. They're not using a stop loss. If they're not if they're trading with too much leverage, or the leverage doesn't really matter if you're using a stop loss. I won't go into that whole thing, but yeah, I mean, like, that's why most people fail, in my opinion. Right? I don't even know if it's my opinion, but two people could take the same trade. One person can lose money. One person can make money. It's like I don't know what the success rate on people getting six packs are, but obviously you probably know more people without a six pack than with a six pack. And the reason for that is the person without a six pack could be using the best workout plan. They could have the best trainer. They could have the best diet plan. But if they don't follow that stuff, all that other stuff is useless. You could be the smartest physical trainer ever. If you don't have the discipline to actually put 100% in your training and follow your diet and not cheat and be consistent and still go to the gym when you feel lazy, if you don't do that, right, it doesn't matter what plan you have. It doesn't matter how good your trainer is. It doesn't make the trainer bad. It doesn't make your workout plan bad. It just, you're not sticking to the plan, right? No one can really force your hand on that. And especially when money's involved, emotions go crazy. It makes it very, very difficult. I mean, trading is the biggest psychological struggle ever. I mean, listen, it's fun to make money clicking buttons on a computer, but anyone who's trying to tell you that, like, you can just buy and sell and make money, like, infinitely, it's super easy, they're lying to you, right? It's just not the case, but it is 100% possible. Anything worthwhile is going to be difficult, right? And probably have a high failure rate. So there you go. But you're 100% right. Yeah, I think it's like 85% or something like that. Bitcoin dominance, we can take a look at that. I'll jump into some of the altcoins as well in a minute. Taking a look at dominance, I'm probably not going to have any kind of update here, right? There's zero update, right? Let's take a look at the daily real quick, right? This daily money flow is what made us, right? We had the bullish divergences, right? Money flow comes up. We look for that trend to continue up. We got that big spike. And now we're just playing around in this resistance level, right? So we're just still playing around that 60.48 to 61.47% level. I mean, this is an area, I'll tell you what, guys, like, this is the first level of resistance. Even if we get a little rejection here, like, I don't think it necessarily means alt season starting, right? But if we do get above here, right, we actually almost tapped that 786 perfectly. If we get above here, your next level, sitting up here between 62.64 and 64.24%. Once we start breaking above this, it's not looking good, right? This is kind of your last place to get a big rejection from. But other than that, daily money flow continues, marching to the upside. Got a red dot printing, so you might be able to get a little correction here. But, you know, this money flow is trending up. Your 2-day money flow trying to cross back into the green, which, again, is not necessarily what I like to see. 4-day money flow is crossing back into the green. This is obviously not good. Well, it's good for dominance, not good for altcoins. But, you know, this is, and it's not necessarily over here just yet either, right? The thought process here on dominance is, you know, this 4-day money flow comes out, or 3-day money flow coming out, 2-day money flow coming out, 4-day money flow still trending out as well. You know, this, again, money flow is not an instant signal. It's just trying to help keep you on the right side of the trend, right? So when you look at these high time frame money flows, if this continues out, and even if the 3-day crosses into the green, this could roll back over into the red. Overall, right, money flow coming out does look somewhat bearish on the higher time frames. But with the daily money flow coming up on the lower time frame, we could anticipate a little bit more upside locally. But no real update other than that. We're just slamming into this resistance. We get above here. We're looking up here. Break above that 786. Probably not looking good for alts, in my opinion. And to be honest, right, like, with where we are sitting now in the market for Bitcoin being so close to the end of the cycle, like, unless we have some crazy Q4, I wouldn't even necessarily think like a rejection from this level is just going to start alt season. Like, could it? Yes, I would say the highest probability of getting the big rejections are going to be from here and here. But it's not just like an instant signal, especially with this high time frame money flow trying to come back up. So we'll keep an eye on it, right? Like, it's not until we start breaking above here where we're like, oh my God, big update, guys. This looks like it wants to scream up. But, you know, not even here am I saying, oh my God, guys, it looks really good for alt season. Not necessarily, right? Maybe you get a little rejection, alts start to run a little bit. But again, it's really the state of Bitcoin that has me a little bit more worried. But those are the next levels to look at on dominance. Let's go ahead and jump on into Ethereum real quick. Thanks, brother. Shout out to RM. No problemo, brother. No problemo. Yeah, XRP. We'll take a look at XRP. Shout out to EPG. I almost called you Egg. EPG. Shout out to Chino, said, are you going to have a Black Friday sale? Yes, actually, me and Tony D were just talking about that. We will have Black Friday sales for the premium Discord, guys. They will be coming out very soon. I'll probably have more information on that tomorrow. I tend to hold my losers too long and sell my winners too early. I can't break this habit. It's destroying me. I nailed the chart but failed to follow through. Shout out to Mr. K. Wait, were you the one that said doesn't trading have a 85% failure rate? Here's the good thing, brother. You identified your issue, right? Most people, right, they just want to blame other things, right? There's like, oh, the strategy doesn't work. Oh, TA doesn't work, right? But you understand what the actual problem is, which is you're just holding the losers too long and you're not holding the winners long enough. What I would say is don't even think about not holding your winners long enough, right? Like if you get let's say you're looking for $100 in profit and you close out at 50 and you're consistently making it to that $100 profit, but you're taking profit at 50 and you're not seeing that full profit, that's much better than holding your losers for longer, right? So if you were going to focus on one of those problems, I would focus on holding the losers too long. And it might come down to not having a plan, right? Like you have to have an invalidation for the trade, right? So for me personally, right, on the long position I'm holding on Bitcoin, just to give you an example, it was based off a local SFP. So for this specific example, right, on a swing failure pattern, we talked about this yesterday, right? If you enter in on an SFP, I'm not going to mark out everything exactly, but I'll just kind of show you, right? Here's the confirmation. We get the SFP. My stop loss, and not only my stop loss, but my invalidation for that trade is going to be below that liquidation wick, right? If we break that wick, I am expecting to go lower, right? And they almost got me. And they're almost getting me now because I moved my stop loss to break even. But just to kind of show you how I do this, right? I take the trade, right? My stop loss goes below that wick. That's my invalidation, right? I'm not looking at this saying I'm going to put a 1% stop loss or I want to lose this much money. I'm going to put my stop loss there. That's a common misconception for where to set your stop loss. You don't want to base it off of how much you want to lose. And the reason for that is the market has no idea how much money you want to lose and where that level would be. What you want to base your stop loss off of is the invalidation on the chart, right? So for an SFP, simple invalidation is breaking that wick. If I break below that wick, I want to get out of this trade because I'm going to be that invalidates the idea of the swing failure, and I'm going to be looking lower. I don't want to hold that trade, right? So, and that's where sticking to the rule comes into play, right? Like if we came down here and it stopped me out and we start getting another push back up, right? Are you moving your stop loss down as it gets close? Well, that's all emotion, right? That's all your emotion. Oh, I don't want to lose, right? That's your ego telling you, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to lose. I think it's going to go up. I'm going to move my stop loss. You have to be an absolute and complete robot. You have to be an NPC, a total bot, right? If I get stopped out here, I'm stopped out. If it plays out without me, then whatever. It is what it is. I stuck to my plan. That was a good move, right? Even if I lose the trade. And I've actually made videos on the channel about either losing trades or taking bad trades and just showing like, even on a winning trade, sometimes I'll take a trade, I'll have bad execution, I'll make money, that's awesome, but I still classify it as a bad trade because I might have not stuck to my plan. And the reason that's important is because over time, sure, maybe you get lucky. Maybe you move your stop loss, you save yourself, and it plays out. And maybe you get lucky. But if you do that consistently, more often than not, it's going to go against you, and it's going to be really hard to make money over time. So you want to set your stop loss at the invalidation. If it breaks the invalidation, you're out of the trade. Wait for the next setup, right? You have to be patient. So hopefully that helps you out. But the fact that you identify those problems is extremely important. All right, let's see. Shout out to Rice. Should I be scared? Because I'm a tad bit scared. Shout out to Rice. Here's the other thing too, right? Like, and I get the emotions of the market. It gets scary when prices go down. But I said this yesterday. If you're trading and you're getting upset that you get stopped out of a trade, right? If I get stopped out of this trade, right? Well, number one, my stop loss isn't down here anymore because I've already taken profit at my first target and I've moved my stop loss to break even, right? So if I get stopped out here, I'm actually getting stopped out in profit. And I'm going to be expecting that to happen, right? But I'm not going to be mad in that case because I actually made money, all because of the management of the trade. But let's just say I got stopped out of a loss here. Am I going to walk around and be like, oh my God, I got wrecked today? No. Like, I don't know what. Like, if you walk around and you're like, oh, I got wrecked today, that's not because of anything other than your own decisions, right? Because if you get wrecked, it means you're not using risk management, right? Getting wrecked indicating that I lost more than I wanted to. That's all personal decision, right? That has nothing to do. If I take a small loss, I'm like, all right, cool, I took a small loss. My next winner will pay for that plus profit, right? And that's the name of the game. That is the secret to trading, and that's why most people fail, because they don't follow that. So if you find yourself like, oh, I got wrecked today. Oh my God, I keep getting wrecked. Unless you're just using wrecked for a term of being stopped out. But, like, you know, if you're using a legitimate risk management strategy, you're risking 1% to 2% of your account, like I said yesterday, right? Like, you can lose 50 trades in a row on a $1,000 account and still have more than half your account left, right? But if you're losing 50% of your account on one trade, you can only lose 2 trades in a row before you blow up your account, right? But if you use an actual risk management strategy, which does require you to take losses on the chin and not let it hurt your ego. I was wrong. That's okay. Why is it okay? Because I'm here. I'm still in the game to take another trade tomorrow or maybe that same day, right? If you're out there saying you're getting wrecked, it's a risk management, right? You should never say that, right? If you're like, oh, I got wrecked. Well, why didn't you use a stop loss, right? So that's the important thing. It's literally the secret to trading. So there we go. I just looked into the chat. What is being talked about? Oh, God. What are we talking about? I got very lucky in 2021. Shout out to Mr. K. I need to join I just need to join the Mafia already. I've everything wrong for 4.5 years now. I've tried to do this by myself the entire time, and I just suck at it. Shout out to Mr. K. Bro, you're self-aware, bro. You've got 90% of the battle down, bro. I truly do think that, like, especially in trading, it's you versus you at the end of the day, right? Like, you have to have that self-accountability. If I'm just saying, blaming all my losses on something else, well, guess what? I put all the control in something that I can't control, right? If I put all the accountability on myself, the good thing about that is, like, sure, you have to kind of kill your ego to allow that to happen, right? You have to not care about your ego. I was wrong because I was wrong. What went wrong? And if you actually dig into what happened, you have to be self-aware, right? And you have to be self-criticizing. But if you just point fingers and blame, oh, it was the exchange didn't trigger, my exchange deleted my stop loss. Oh, the strategy didn't work, or oh, this tweet, that. What does that do? That takes all control out of your hands. The only thing you can control in trading is your trade management, right? Entering, exiting, and managing within the trade, right? You can't control a crazy tweet that comes out of the president, right? You can't control some random black swan event. You can't control some random, short squeeze that, wrecks you out of a short position, right? But what you can do is control how badly you get wrecked. The only thing you can control is risk management. That's why it is the most important thing. It's the only thing in this skill and in this career that you have control over. But everyone just overlooks it, right? So anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and jump on into some altcoins here, guys. We'll take a look at Ethereum. Still just bouncing around on the golden pocket. And just like on Bitcoin, guys, right? It's like we don't have any divergences down here. We were looking for the loss of this value area high at 35.30. Once we lost that, the next key level to look at was that golden pocket. We've already gotten a pretty decent bounce off that level. But based off money flow, based off the fact that we are potentially getting accepted into this profile, the key level to get above was sitting right up here, right? Value area high, macro anchored VWAP. Like, you got to get out of that level. What happens? Very similar to Bitcoin, right? No bullish divergences, no nothing. Looking at that as a lackluster bounce for a potential lower high and lower low. Even if we come back up, right, you could kind of play around with this level. You could even come up here and put in a lower high and a lower low. But, one thing here is if we take a look at the 4-hour, yeah, I mean, this is what we looked at on Bitcoin. It's like this momentum wave looks like it may have wanted to print a bullish divergence. So if we do come back down there and put in a bull div on the 4-hour, that could be something to look at for another bounce. But for the most part, right, like your key support here is the bottom of this golden pocket at 31.07. If we lose this, not much underneath us until we get down to that 786. Are these MPOCs? No, we can get rid of that. Let me pull it up over here because I think we do have some MPOCs down here somewhere. Same range. Whoops. I'll pull that same golden pocket so you guys can have an idea of what we're looking at. There's that same golden pocket. Right? There's that same 786 right here. But I do think I have MPOCs on this chart. So let's see here. All right. So we do have a daily MPOC down there. So if we lose the top of that golden pocket, we've already tapped this one. So I'll take this one off the chart. If we break this golden pocket, technically the next key level is sitting at $3,028. So if you were to see that 4-hour give you another low, bounce off the MPOC, if we can get a 4-hour bull div there, that would be nice. And I don't know if it's probable just because this VWAP is coming up. But, again, you want to set your traps and wait for the levels to get tapped. Daily MPOC, $3,029, right? Once you lose that, I'm looking down to the 786 daily MPOC confluence, sitting right here between 28.19 and 27.19. So these are the big levels. This is kind of your last chance. If you lose this, probably coming down here in my opinion. So we'll see. If you do get one more drop down, hopefully that daily MPOC can help. right? You can get back above the golden pocket. But again, that doesn't hold. 28.17 to 27.17. And when we look at money flow, it all looks almost exactly the same. 2-day money flow coming out, daily money flow in the red, 3-day money flow coming out, right? Is this what we want to see for a massive bounce from this level into new all-time highs? Not necessarily, right? If you want a big move up from here for new all-time highs, well, you're going to have to expect this to just fake out into the green. Super late in the cycle at that, right? So that's what I would be looking at on Ethereum. Those are the key levels, and money flow pretty much looks exactly the same as Bitcoin. French toilets are fun. Not for number 2 after Mexican food, though. Shout out to Dutchy. Shout out to Dutchy. First chat I see from Dutchy is just out of pocket. I love it. Shout out to Mr. K. Said, thank you, brother. Makes me feel better. I appreciate you, dude. Shout out to Mr. K. Yes, trading is not supposed to be easy, right? Anyone telling you trading is going to be super, super easy, you try to keep it simple, but it's just anything worthwhile, right? Like, you got to think about this, right? Like, if you're going to make more money than a lawyer, right, or more money than a brain surgeon by clicking buttons on a computer, you can't expect it to be easy. Anything worthwhile in life is difficult, right? And for me personally, right, like I gave myself 2 years to actually focus on the skill of trading without chasing money, right? I chased money in the beginning. I got totally wrecked. But when I extended my time horizon and stopped paying attention to the money, I know it sounds counterintuitive. I know it sounds like an oxymoron. You're trading. Don't you want to focus on the money? Sure. But if you chase the money, it will run. Because if you're chasing money, what are you going to do? You might take a sound long position. Let's just pretend, I'm not saying this is the case, but let's just pretend you take a nice long position here, and all the charts are pointing for higher lows and higher highs and higher lows and higher highs. If you're chasing the money, right, and you get the move up, and then you start pulling back, you're going to think, oh, my God, I better close my long here and just go short. Right? But then if the chart's calling for higher lows and higher highs, what's going to happen? You're going to close your long either at a loss or maybe at a little bit of a win, right? And then you're going to short. You're going to get cooked on the short. And then you're going to be like, oh, my God, now it's going up. Let me long, right? Let me FOMO in. And then it's going to retrace, and you're going to get cooked. And then you're going to short, and you're going to get cooked, right? And that's why I say trading is a game of trapping, right? You want to focus on the skill, set your traps in the market, and just wait for price to come into the levels, right? And you have to understand context as well. So it's, it's a difficult thing, right? But it's definitely possible, right? Like hopefully, like I said this yesterday, I'm not special, guys. I'm a normal person, right? It's like I don't have some secret indicator, some secret mentor that's telling me really what's going on, and I can only share so much with you guys. Like I share everything I know on these live streams, and you just have to understand it's a difficult thing, and it's not even the TA, right? Like if you just stop paying attention to the money, stop chasing the money, and just focus on the skill of trading, TA, and more importantly, the risk management and managing the trades. Because what people struggle with a lot is if you want to practice good risk management, here's the thought process. I'm probably going to read a lot of people's minds, right? You're inside of a volume profile. You have your value area high, your POC, your value area low. You take a long at the value area low. You might be saying to yourself, oh my God, I'm in the trade. You're getting excited. Yeah, I'm winning. Which, by the way, you have to try to kill that, right? You just have to be like, I'm in the trade. It's going my way, whatever, right? You know that you should probably be taking profit at that point of control and moving your stop loss to break even. But what does that do, right? And why do people not like to do that? And the reason is they're all amped up that they're up on the trade. And they're thinking, well, if I take half of my trade off here, if we continue up to the final target, I'm going to make less money because I already took some of the position off. What is that? It's an emotion. It's greed, right? So instead of saying, I don't care if this isn't, if I'm not going to get the, say you're going, if you don't take profits, you make $1,000. If you do take profit, you make 500, right? Most people are just going to want the 1,000, hope for the 1,000, and they're not going to protect themselves by taking profit or moving their stop loss to break even, right? But what is that? It's just greed. It's an emotion, right? But if you are a robot and it's POC tapped, profit taken, right? Stop loss move to break even. Now you're in a guaranteed winning trade. It doesn't even matter if the price goes against you. You will win that trade. But the problem is most people are just going to want to hold on for that home run, right? Which, again, you could do whatever you want. But that's what people struggle with, right? It's all emotion-based. This is why I tell people not to quit their job to go trading full-time until you've proven that you can make money. Because at the end of the day, if you quit your job, right, you have no income. It's a lot easier. Trading becomes a lot easier when you're not starting off learning how to trade with a secondary income makes your journey so much easier, Because if you try to quit your job and focus on trading full time, sure, you'll be able to focus more. But you might lose a couple trades in a row, and then it's gonna be a lot easier to FOMO into other positions or revenge trade to try to make that money, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm down. I got to pay rent. Let me double down on this position. I can't get stopped out here. I don't care. I'm going to go into a little bit more of a loss. It'll bounce. And it's an emotional nightmare, right? And what does that do? It literally takes the one thing you're trying to remove from trading, which is emotion, and you're just tripling down on it, right? And then you're 10 times more focused on the money. So you want to try to separate yourself as much as possible from the attachment to the money, right? It's very hard to do if you're relying on trading in the beginning. But if you have a secondary income and your trading account is just for learning, you're looking at it as market tuition, right? I'm going to put this $1,000 into the account and I'm going to learn. I'm new. I'm not going to be a NBA level basketball player when I first start learning, right? You would expect you're going to suck at everything until you get good at it, right? You have to accept that you're not going to be good at something when you first start. So, if you could separate that money, right? Like meaning having a secondary income, right? Or just a primary income. You're now less emotionally attached to that money. You put it in there and you say, hey, I'm new. I might lose this, but I'm going to use it as a learning experience. I have to get into the market. I have to be in drawdown of real money to feel that emotion and control it. But it doesn't mean that you have to have your whole life savings in the account. So I recommend trading with real money because you want to understand what the emotions feel like when you're in that trade. But you don't want to be trading with your rent money. I mean, that's a terrible idea, right? And a lot of people, you would think as a trader, I'd be telling them, yeah, quit your job, learn how to trade. It's easy. Look, I did it. That's not the truth, though, right? It's very hard. I did it the first way, and then I had to change it. I had to be like, all right, I'm going to stop focusing on the money. I'm going to learn the craft. And surely if I actually put 100% in on this, and I'm talking working hard, back testing every single night, working all day, coming back home, back testing all night, getting wrecked, making all the big mistakes, not giving up, actually putting 100% in. You have to have the dog in you. You have to want it bad enough. Especially important in trading and many other aspects of life. But that's where most people trip up, right? It's all greed. It's just like they're not trading based off the information in the system. And that's why I say separate yourself from the money. You cannot be emotionally attached to the money. And if you are emotionally attached to your money in your account, you either A, are trading with too much money, you're using too much leverage with no stop loss, right? If you're getting emotional about the money, that's the problem, right? You have to figure out what amount of money are you not going to be. If it's $100 is nothing to you, put that into a trading account, right? And like the other thing is too, if you want to start off small and not have to worry about all those emotions, right? Being attached to all that, putting too much in, more than you're willing to lose. If you don't do that, right, or if you do that, right, let's say you put $100 into the account. Well, if you make $50, that is a 50% gain on the account. But not everyone's, people want to get into trading. They want to make $10,000 a day the next week, right, or $10,000 the first month, right? Like it's very unrealistic. So when you have a $100 account, if you make $50, that person is probably not thinking like, oh, let me take this. This is going to change my life. But 50% of a $100,000 account is $50,000. Right? It's the same trade, same risk management, same everything. It's just extra you just have more capital in one account. So you have to be okay. If you have a small account, you have to be okay with taking partial profits. If that partial profit is $15, it's not going to change your life, but you have to practice that discipline of being like, okay, well, what is this percentage of my account? Is this $15 15% of my account? Because if I have a $100,000 account, I could take this same trade and make $15,000. It's all the same thing. It's just you have more money to work with. So it's very important. I don't think a lot of people talk about those intricacies of trading, right? They just are like, oh, buy here, sell here, right? But this is really the stuff that will change the game for you. I promise. I had to learn the hard way. It took a long time. And hopefully I can expedite your journey. Shout out to 2AA2 said, are you still overly bullish? Shout out to 2AA2. Maybe I don't sound as bearish as I think, right? I'm always kind of careful because people get really mad if you're bearish, right? That's why I just present the information. But no, I have not been overly bullish for a long time. Learning to not trade is hard. That's the other thing, too. You start trading, you want to take a trade every 5 seconds. This is the fastest way to get wrecked. What are you doing? You're chasing the money. All right, we're going up. Let me try to make money. We're going down. Let me try to make money. What's your plan? Is your plan to just see green candles and try to jump in and make money? If you are, you just don't really know what's going on, right? I'm not saying that's a bad, you could do that. But like you have to have a plan, right? There are times, right? Like for a short position, let me bring this up, right? Because I'm no different than anybody else, right? If I want a short, right? Let's just say I think price is going to continue down overall, right? I'm waiting for my key level, right? So like if I pull up my actual key levels here, I'm not interested unless I find a legitimate reason to take a trade. But for the most part, right, if I think price is going to continue down, I'm not just saying, oh, that's a good place to enter the trade. I have to wait for a setup, right? Just because I think that price is going down does not mean that that's where I take the trade, right? I would want to wait for my key level to get hit. Guess what happens if this comes down from here? Am I chasing the short as the red candles come in? No. I'm sitting on my hands. I'm just like, all right, well, it's continuing down. I was right. And then what do? I just wait for the next key level of support to probably look for a long, right? And you have to understand, right? Like for me personally, if this was me back in the day, I had my short from up here. I closed it in full down here by accident. I wanted to take 50% profit. You can imagine the emotions. If this keeps coming down, I'm going to be even more emotional, right? Because I still feel the emotions. I just don't make my decisions based off of them. I'm going to be like, oh my God, man, I wish I was holding that short. But I'm not going to be like, screw it. I'm just going to get in. I don't care, right? Because at that point, if you're shorting after the dump, you're too late, right? You should probably just be looking for longs. So it's like every up and down, it's like, oh, I got to short it. Oh, I got to long it. Oh, I got to short it. Maybe you have a legit setup, but if you don't, right, I'm just I'm waiting for price to hit my key level, right? That's all I'm waiting for. My trap's up here. If it dumps from here, it doesn't mean I have to take a trade, right? I would just wait. If I have a key level here and a key level here, I am typically not taking a trade until this level gets hit or this level gets hit. Anything in between, I'm not going, oh my God, long. Oh my God, short. Oh my God, long. Oh my God, short, right? I'm just sitting out of all that garbage, right? And I just wait for my actual key level. And here's the kicker. Sometimes you have to wait a long time for that key level to get hit, and you don't get a confirmation, and you just break through it, and there's still no trade. Now you have to wait even longer. But why is that bad? Why do most people not want to do this? Because they're chasing the money. I need to get rich right now. I need to make tons of money right now. It's not going to lead you to money, right? You have to follow the plan. You have to have a trading plan. If you don't have a trading plan, you're gambling. So there you go. All right, let's see. Buy the dip, sell high. BTC will be back to 125K anytime soon. BTC will be back to 125K sometime soon. Hopefully. I'm praying for it. And sometimes they go for your level at 5 a.m. Yeah, 100%. That was actually the case. Shout out to Mystic Ruin. That was the case up here. We had the short set up in the premium Discord to take the short up here on these confirmations. I was sleeping. It was like 2 a.m. We came back down, and then what did I do here, right? Let me give a little education, right? Set up in the Discord, right? Especially when you're giving the setup, right? It's even more painful to miss it, right? We had the bearish divergence. We had the SFP. That was the short setup. Did I short here? No. I waited for a retracement and shorted on the retracement because I had an actual setup. So like even here, all right, I jump on the chart. Oh my God, the short setup's playing out. Am I FOMOing in here? No. Why would I do that, right? There's support. It retraces, then I take the short and hold it all the way down, right? I would have shorted here and got cooked, right? Or stopped out, right? But if I wasn't using a stop loss, I would have gotten wrecked, right? And I probably would have deposit more money and then take the short. So, I practice what I preach, right? I'm not FOMOing in here. I wait for the retracement because that's the setup, right? Not short as price goes down. You want to short as price is coming up. Hopefully that makes sense. So there you go. But we took a look at Ethereum. Let's go ahead and jump on into XRP real quick. So XRP, kind of the same thing here as yesterday, guys. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the altcoins because nothing has really moved that much. But what did we look at yesterday on XRP? Where was our key target / key resistance? Golden pocket, 786 POC, right? We got the move. Back into our value area, bounce off the POC, bing bong around, lose the POC. Next place for price to likely go, value area low. You get the bounce off the low. Where was our target yesterday? Right here. We sweep into it, and we get the rejection. So one thing I would pay attention to here, on XRP here, your key level of resistance remains the same, right? If you do want to continue up, you still got to flip that 786. This is resistance until proven otherwise. So that's the key level to get above, 786, 244. Reclaim that POC, maybe we can look up towards the value area high. If that is not the case, the one thing I am looking at here is the value area low was barely front ran here and the 786 confluence. So this would have looked really nice if we put in another low here on XRP with the 4-hour bull div into the value area low. It's not impossible for this to still play out. But with this green dot printing on the 4-hour, we could anticipate maybe a little bit of a retracement back up. So the big key levels on XRP for me, like even yesterday, I don't trade XRP typically, but for me, if I were looking for a short, would I have shorted here because price was going down? No, right? Because my key level's up here. I just simply wait for it. And then more often than not, price taps your key level. This is the high probability area to get some kind of a reaction. And even if it doesn't give you the full move that you're looking for, you're going to have an opportunity to get into profit, move your stop loss, make some money, and then hopefully it plays out in full. But if not, you'll get stopped out in profit, right? So these are the key levels. If we come down here, this would be the next place where I would be looking for a bounce. It's also kind of your last level of support. So maybe this 4-hour green dot prints, you get a little bing bong around. I'm not going to try to call the exact price action here, but some medium time frame bull divs down at that value area low would be nice for some kind of a bounce. If we can't hold on to that 786, guys, probably headed lower. I'll cover some of those lower targets probably tomorrow. But right now, key level of support, 205. Key level of resistance is really that 786. Once we break above that 786, we'll just look at this as a volume profile rotation from the high to the low, and from the low, flip the 786 back to the high. Major resistance up there between between about 270 and 280, all right? Big sign of strength for XRP is not until we get up here. That is where I'd be looking for the bigger move up. And even then, right, you still have massive resistance above. So that's what I'd look for. We'll cover these levels when they become more relevant, if they become more relevant. Until then, key resistance, key support, and then your big level of resistance is up there between 270 and 280. All right, let's see. Filecoin, yeah, we could check Filecoin. It's ripping. Oh my God, it is ripping. Usually people are like, oh my God, we're pumping. And it's like a little green candle like this. This is cooking. Well, I tell you, can anybody tell me why we're ripping here? Or not why we're ripping, but like why this is moving so quickly? Well, I'll give you a little, look at the volume gap. Bada boom, right there, right there. And this is kind of why, like, I don't know if there's news or anything, but it's like, from a chart perspective, what would I expect when we get back above this high volume node, right? Break above these highs. Well, what do I have? Massive low volume gap. High volume nodes, price sticks to. Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong. Magnet. High volume node, magnet. Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong. Low volume node, no support holding you up and no resistance holding you back, right? So once you break below these lows, you have a massive volume gap, so you would look for a fast move down to this high volume node. And then very simply, when you look at this, you would say to yourself, well, what are the key levels I want to get above? Well, we have this high volume node sitting right here, right on these highs. If we break those highs, we might be able to start getting a very fast move to the upside where you have your next big level of resistance, which sits right up here on that high volume node. This is how price typically moves. Flies through the gaps, sticks to the high volume nodes. Fast move down equals fast move up. No volume, nothing holding you up or down. That's why you fly through these levels so quickly. That's why when people say, like, oh, my God, did you see the news? We're pumping because of the news. And it's like, yeah, sure, maybe, right? Like, that probably has something to do with it, but I would already be looking for that big push up once you break that level anyway because of the volume. And you could see the volume before the news comes out. And again, I don't know if there's news here or anything, but just as from a general sense. So what would be the next place to look for? Well, let's take a look here today. And here's the other thing, too, right? Is this all the price action on Filecoin? Whoops. So here's the other thing, too, right? Like, when you look at this, there's a difference between putting in a new low and then getting a massive pump like this, right? Definitely 67% about, right? Maybe a little more. Definitely a big pump, right? But, like, zoom out, right? Like, this is nothing like, oh, my God, alt season, right? I don't know if that's what you're thinking, but definitely important to realize that, right? Like, you got to zoom out. Like, how significant is this, right? Hopefully it is, right? But, from a chart perspective, it's like, it's nice to see the pump, but, you got a long way to go before you see some kind of a significant sign of strength here, in my opinion. But doesn't mean it's all doom and gloom. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Pull up the daily. Try to find some kind of and I could try to pull a volume profile here. This might be a little wonky. These candles are all chopped out. Look at this. And the volume profile, I'm struggling with that, of course. Let me see if I can pull up a different exchange here. I mean, I'll just pull this, right? So, like, here's your bear market range. So this is your major zone that you want to get accepted back into. Value area high. POC, value area low, right? Like, we've lost this range. For me personally, it's not until we start cracking these highs here, right? Like, we can work our way up, All right, this is your big doorway to higher prices. All right, so I'll label that doorway to higher prices. It's not until we wind up getting back up here, flipping this to support, before we can start looking for a bigger move up. Until then, again, I don't know what's going on here. Pretty big pump to the upside. Very nice. But again, it's like, it's not as nice when you're coming off new lows, right? It's like, this is nice, but I don't know how many people have an average entry price down here. And then another kind of local level you can look at is we can pull this little volume profile right here. So a little bit more of a tangible local range to look at would be sitting right here. So this sits local value area low. I won't even pay big doorway to higher prices, 336. But locally, your range is sitting between 232, POC sitting at 241, value area high sitting at 285. So you're going to probably have to come in and work with this value before you could even talk about approaching that bigger doorway to higher prices. So that's what I would be looking at on Filecoin. Now, from a money flow perspective, and nothing really to take away. 4-day money flow kind of flat. 5-day money flow deep in the red. 6-day money flow coming out. Weekly, I mean, you have the weekly green dot. You have some of these high time frame daily green dots, but you really need the money flow to shape up for a continuation, right? You could argue that your 4-day is trending up here, but it's just a little too soon to make any decisions there. 3-day money flow came up, back into the red. So yeah, I'd like to get back into this value. First order of business, get back up in this value. So that's what I'd be looking at on Filecoin, or Philcoin, as some people like to call it. Shout out to Graham, said tried to short Filecoin and got wrecked. I'm not laughing that you got wrecked, but I just, it's because I feel, I know the pain, bro. I know the pain. But I don't know exactly where you tried to short it, but yeah. Hopefully it wasn't actually wrecked. Hopefully you just got stopped out. But let's see. ICP. We'll take a look at ICP. No problemo. Sell everything and go all in on Filecoin. Again. Yeah. Hopefully that's the bottom, but yeah, I don't know. That's what I'd be looking at here. I mean, this is too late to long, right? Like, for me, right? At any point, right? I'm not saying it can't continue up. This is never a place where I'd look to long, right? Like, I'm not longing this. And again, if you have that mindset where it's like, why would you not long this? It's going up, right? You're too late, right? You've already gotten a massive move up. And again, maybe it just continues up, but I just don't gamble like that, right? I would rather wait for a retracement, maybe retest these highs, and then look for a potential continuation up. And with that being said, try to find a local level of support if you do get a pullback here. Low, POC, value area high, pull your fib, low to the high. Here are some key levels to the downside. Golden Pocket POC confluence sitting between 156 and 153. Value area low, 786, sitting between 146 and 143. And let me see. Yeah, you don't really have any confluence. I'll actually extend this. Don't really have much confluence there on your value area high. So I would prefer these levels. Not that you can't bounce off the value area high, but those would be your key levels to the downside. Value area high, $1.68. POC, Golden Pocket sitting between 159 and 153. And then your 786 value area low, 147 to 143. So there you go. Upside levels, downside levels. Some confluence here on your POC above. And let me just see this. These would be your confluent levels above, right? So there you go. That's what I'll be looking at on Filecoin. Key resistance above, Golden Pocket value area low, 212, 224. POC 786 sitting at 235 to 241. These are the levels I would be looking at. But again, for me, I would never long on top of a green candle like this. All right, let's see. All right, let's take a quick look at ICP. Shout out to Dad Buddha Beats. Says, ICP, Frankie. You know you wanna. Shout out to Dad. Love you, Dad. But let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here in the chat. Can you share your market cipher colors? Yes, of course I can. I'll do that in just a second. We'll take a look at ICP. Let me just take a look at ICP real quick. I'll just show you this real quick, right? Market cipher colors. I actually have a video. If you check out the market cipher, one of our market cipher videos. But my blue that I use is this blue right here. The purple that I use is this purple right here. So there you go. It's the same thing for everything. So hopefully that helps you out. All right, so let's see here. I could take this off. Very nice that we did not have to come back down and revisit this Golden Pocket 786. I'm going to take this off the chart for now. And there we got our, I think we looked at this the other day as we got our acceptance into the volume profile. We filled the value area high. And this was actually interesting because our money flow was coming up on the daily, indicating a potential continuation to the upside. Still looking to finally cross into the green here. You do have a daily red dot incoming. But we are approaching our next key level here, which is the value area low POC, sitting between 806 and 751. So we're very quickly approaching this key level. But you already got in the full fill of the range. This is next resistance. If you flip this POC, sitting at $8, potentially look to push up into that value area high at 963. Same thing here, right? Get above the low, go to the POC, flip the POC, go to the value area high. It'd be the same thing here. The only difference is that because this POC is so low, and so close to the value area low, I would look at this as an overall zone, right? You really want to get on top of that purple box, which is technically the POC, to open the door into 963. And then the move to the upside from there, I mean, very nice recovery here, to be quite honest. Very nice. 516% from the low. Again, I think most people are probably in from these prices or these prices or these prices, but shout out to anybody who's buying the low there on ICP. Absolute monster move. But yeah, that would be the next key zone to the upside. Again, this looks a little bit different than everything else, right? Like daily money flow is coming up. 16-hour money flow crossing into the green. 12-hour money flow looking to cross over into the green. And even your 2-day here, right? Like on Bitcoin, the 2-day money flow crossover is something like this, where it's just crossing into the red, indicating much more downside, right? Which you wound up getting on ICP. But on ICP, you've already had a nice red wave for that big drop down, and now money flow is attempting to come back to the upside. So it doesn't look as bad as Bitcoin when it comes to the money flow, in my opinion. But that's definitely the next zone to look at to the upside, upper value area. 754 value area low, $8.02 POC, and then you have your $9.63 value area high. And again, it's like, let me just take a look at this from a visible range volume profile perspective. And we have two ranges up here, but you could potentially combine these, which I am actually going to do here. So let me come in here and change this a little bit. All right, so this is, whoops. Come on, everybody calm down. What is going on here? All right, so yeah, I mean, this is overall your bear market range. So the bigger volume profiles, right? Of course, keep in mind those local ranges. Could also look at this. I mean, it really depends. I don't want to give you too many levels, right? You're looking at all the same stuff just from different perspectives. But if you look at this as a volume profile, value area low, POC, value area high. This is kind of your overall volume profile, right? So once you get above, right, and I'll even, it's not all organized, so it's probably going to be a little difficult. Value area low sits at about 824, right? So maybe you kind of chop around, flip that 824, then you can start looking up towards the value area high in the POC. Huge deviation, right? He had to run through the entire lower range, sweep all these. I mean, I don't even know if you would call this a sweep, but massive liquidation, back in, fill the range. I mean, the next obvious place for me to look is to flip that major volume profile or value area low at 824 to then see that bigger fill to the upside, right? Get accepted back in, flip the value area low to support. Right? If money flow is coming up, which it looks like it could potentially do that on the 2-day and the daily, flip that to support. You can look for the continuation into the POC and the value area high. Back in, can't get out, lose the POC, back down to the value area low. Same thing here. Get back into the range, lose the POC, value area low. And, of course, you can get faked out here. Fake out, fake out, fake out. But eventually, right, why could you not rotate to the high here? Would you be anticipating a full rotation of this volume profile? I wouldn't. Why? Look at your money flow. Money flow is in the red. But when it crosses green, that gives you a high probability of a fill of that profile. And hopefully, we can get the same thing here on the 2-day if that money flow can crank back to the upside. But there you go. That's what I'll be looking at on ICUP. All right, let's see. Evening, everybody, or evening, Pennywise. Shout out to Infinite Team TA. Welcome in, welcome in. Shout out to Pennywise, everybody's favorite friendly CandleMafia clown. Let's see. It's one of those days when Biddy gonna start moving at 2 a.m., isn't it? Oh, man. I hope not. I hope not. What is it doing here? Yeah, just back down. Oh, I'm probably stopped out of that long. Never mind. Not even close. Still up there. Still up there. But again, I do expect to get stopped out in profit here. All right, let's continue on here. Rain. All right, let's take a look at rain. Everybody wants to see rain. Well, you could just look outside, guys. Just look outside. Rainmaker Games. Is this what you guys are looking for? Let me know. Somebody let me know before I dig in here. Is this what we're looking at? This can't be it. Oh, I'll tell you what. If it's this, I have no analysis on this. This is impossible. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what this rain thing is. I can't find a ticker. I don't know if it's this one. Either way, they're both really hard to look at, to be quite honest. You have a decent amount of history there. Shout out to, I can't read that name, but said, why would anyone think alts might go up while Bitcoin is dumping? I mean, I guess you could argue that some alts are going up right now, but there's always going to be outliers, right? But I would generally agree with that, right? Like, for a true alt season, right? Like ICP doing pretty well. I think, was it virtuals that we were looking at that didn't look super, super bad? We looked at a couple of things, like even Dash, obviously. Dash continuing to rip, right? This thing is actually cooking. But, like, this doesn't necessarily indicate alt season guaranteed, right? Like, again, I would like to see new all-time highs on Bitcoin before the end of the year to really anticipate true alt season. But, you know, just every alt pump does not equal alt season, right? Like, even if they're significant, right? Like XRP, right? And a lot of other altcoins back in November and December of 2024, right? Massive push up, right? This doesn't just indicate, like, alt season's here guaranteed, right? It was like a little bit of a mini alt season, and then we wind up cooling off. Luckily, we haven't gotten the big drop back down yet, though. All right. Yeah, Filecoin's up 55% today. Yeah, Filecoin's ripping. Dash is ripping. Shout out to J Stacks says, Frankie, I watch your channel every day. Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you so much. He says, but I need to join your Discord and watch the beginner videos again. Thank you for being awesome. Shout out to J Stacks. I appreciate you for being here, bro. Thank you for watching the channel. And yeah, beginner series is there anytime you want to watch it. And whenever we will have some Black Friday sales coming up for the premium Discord as well. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah. Let me just do one more little check-in on Bitcoin here. Somebody asked for Metis. Whoops. Metis is there we go. So I would have to pull this. Pull this. Okay, so local range here on Metis. I mean, local, you're not there quite yet. But on the moves to the upside, these are the first most important levels. Let's pull this fib. Crazy wick. So I'll just give you these local levels real quick. Here's your local range to the upside. you got some work to do here. Very hard for me to find lower levels, right? I can say you do, is this tapped? Yeah, so you do have a daily sitting right here. So that's like really the only level I can mark out to the downside. No weekly. Do you have a daily MPOC potentially above this? No. All right, so the only thing you really have here is a daily horizontal. You do have some bull divs forming here on the daily with money flow attempting to come up. But if I'm being honest, these are the next biggest levels to the upside. Golden pocket 786, value area low POC. Again, your value area low is very close to your POC, so this I would look at as a zone. This would be the first major level of resistance. Once you can flip on top of this, then you could start to look up towards that value area high at $20.82. And then at that point, right, you're knocking on the door to get accepted into this bigger area of value. And the thing I actually like about this larger value area up here is the fact that you have this very aggressive push through the profile and a very aggressive push through the profile to the downside. So what does that tell me? Well, if I pull up the VPVR, you do have a significant fall off in volume, right? Super high volume node down here. It starts to fall off once you start getting above these local highs at about 24.43. And then as that volume falls off, it will assist you in getting that push all the way through the profile. So first order of business, let me mark some of this out. That's your bigger range. This is your smaller range. So your first major levels to look at: value area low 1396, POC 1531, value area high 2082. Once you start breaking out here and you start getting above that volume profile, hopefully with money flow coming up, you can then delete that range and pull up your larger volume profile. And I actually, if you can get up there, it would look pretty good for at least a rotation to the POC and then potentially the value area high at 38.44. But again, we're going to need to see how this money flow winds up shaping up. But those are the levels that I would look at, mark them off on your chart, and maybe set some alerts. That's your first major level to get above. All right, let's see. Shout out to Graham G. Said Filecoin up 6% since you mentioned it a few minutes ago. That means if I bought a 100K spot bag, I would be up 6K already. Absolutely. It also means if you put $1 million in, you'd be up even more than that. Shout out to Graham. Yeah, BTC looks super dumpy right now. I mean, hey, maybe that's the start of alt season. Maybe we just nuke here from Bitcoin, and I don't know, altcoins fly. I'd be all for it. BTC, please, again. Yeah, so I will check in here on Bitcoin. Look at this, guys. This price action is good Lord. I mean, I'll be honest. I would prefer a continuation up here just because the only trade I'm holding right now is a long, although I would prefer to still be holding my bigger short position for much higher. But I am just still currently holding this long. Just like that, we're up another $500. It's not really ours until we take the profit. But again, my stop loss just chilling down here, just waiting to get tapped. But again, I make like $600. Still making money on these fees. Insane. About 90% of that is not fees, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we can get what's the 4-hour doing here? 4-hour green dot. I think if you're going to get some kind of a continuation up here, guys, just like yesterday, we were looking at some of those red dots here, like even the 3-hour red dot gives you the continuation down. I mean, it didn't happen until today anyway. But I think if you're going to get some kind of like crazy pop to the upside here, I don't want to say crazy, but if you're going to get some kind of push up, I'd be looking for that 4-hour green dot. If we don't get that to print and that doesn't give us a new high here, probably looking to take out these lows. And if you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I covered all the key levels to the upside and the downside for Bitcoin, the two major key levels that I'll be waiting for my next short or my next long. But Bitcoin just, grasping on for dear life here, guys. I mean, you break down below it, you get somewhat of a failed auction, you tried to break out, now you're back down, just still clinging on for dear life. And if we lose this 786, once again, the actual level to look at is this 786 at $100,060. We lose that, I'm looking down toward that macro POC at 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 100,060. 1 $96,633. So there we go. All right, let's see here. Frankie, check the DXY. Yeah, we could take a look at the DXY. Shout out to Getchy, said it seems like alt season is starting. Is Ethereum popping too? Nah, getting a little pop. What else is pushing here? Nothing on Dogecoin. Nothing on Pepe. Nothing on ADA. Nothing on Fartcoin. Nothing on Fartcoin. Nothing on Ondo. Virtuals. Come off the 30-minute. Nothing on INJ. Link, nothing. XRP, nothing. There we go. AR getting a little push up. Certain things. I wonder what the near trying to get a little push up. But again, right, like contextually, it's like zoom out, right? Obviously Dash is a different story. ICP even different story. But yeah, I mean, listen, guys, I hope so. I hope all season's starting. I mean, we are at our key level of resistance on dominance. But we'll see. And again, like just because we have alts pumping doesn't necessarily mean everything's going to pump, right? But again, I hope it does. I hope it does. Yeah, nothing really on Tau. AVAX. AVAX still chilling below the value area low. I could probably clean this stuff up. That's all old. Anchored VWAP still above. So yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff has a lot of work to do. Separate from Dash and ICP and Filecoin. So yeah. Dino alt season. Come on, Dino Coins. You could do it. You could do it. Borpato said alt season starts now, I believe. Let's go. Send it, baby. Send it. XRP daily candle analysis. I mean, I don't really have like a specific thing that I would be talking about here based off this daily candle. I mean, you just got rejected from resistance. A daily green dot may be looking to print. I mean, you're getting a little rejected here on your VWAP. But if you can get that green dot, that's probably going to potentially give you fuel for a little bit of a bigger push up. But like, yeah, like look at the difference here, right? Like 2-day money flow on XRP just crossed over into the red. And again, I mean, you could argue that like this has been choppy recently. But then you look at something like, was it ICP? Right. Then you look at something like ICP, and your 2-day money flow has already been in a big red wave, right? Like when you have those early money flow crossovers, like right back here, right? It's indicating that the trend is likely to continue down, right? But we've already had a nice continuation down here, and now the money flow is starting to trend back to the upside. So the hope there is that this money flow continues trending to the upside, and once you get that crossover into the green, you could start looking for macro higher lows and macro higher highs, right? Still a little bit of time to develop to see if that's going to be a high probability. But you can just see how different that is than the Bitcoin 2-day money flow. This is just starting to cross over into the red. And typically those early money flow crossovers do indicate more downside. Hopefully Bitcoin just flips back around as well, though. All right, let's see. DOT is going to move big. Let's take a look here. I mean, if there is one thing, guys, that I would pray for, it is that alt season starts out of nowhere here. I am on that team. Yeah, so Polkadot, 2-day money flow, super choppy. 3-day money flow, deep in the red, also kind of choppy. 4-day money flow, technically trending out. I mean, trending up. 5-day money flow coming straight out. Yeah, money flow just still super choppy here. But hopefully, you're getting a little pop to the upside here on Polkadot. That's old. Could extend this volume profile. My God, Polkadot literally down like crazy there. So let me just readjust this volume profile. So yeah, I mean, you are approaching, I don't know what this is. But yeah, you are approaching your local value area low at 281. If you can get above that, hopefully you can get accepted. 10-hour money flow crossing into the green. This would be nice if we have a weekly green dot. Almost there. 12-hour money flow, 8-hour money flow crossing into the green. 4-hour money flow trying to come back up. Yeah, money flow is just super chopped here on Polkadot. Just like almost no direction to call for there. But if you do continue up, this is the key level to look at. Value area low, 281. If you can crack up there and hold this, POC would be the next major level. 313. Get above that. Look up towards the 328 value area high. And then as we zoom out here, right, once you get out of that range, you could start to look to approach this bigger range above. But we're still kind of far away from that, so we will cross that bridge when we get there. But those are the local levels I'd look at on Polkadot. I kind of just don't have a read on money flow. It's just way too choppy. Will dot ever recover? Shout out to Pyro. I don't know. They did just have a change in their tokenomics, I believe. But I don't know. Very hard. I've kind of always been in the camp here that new all-time highs are kind of unlikely on a lot of the Dino coins. But on Polkadot, right, like let's assume we did see an alt season on that last breakout. Like that would have been a nice little 833 pump, 833% pump into just your golden pocket retracement. So it doesn't mean it can't rip. But, you know, my thought, at least up until that tokenomics change, which, again, I'm very briefly informed on that, I don't really have high hopes for, like, massive new all-time highs on Polkadot, unless the tokenomics thing makes, like, a totally big difference. But, yeah, I mean, you still have – I mean, even if you make it back to your macro value area low, right, at this point, it's like, all right, nice, 440% up. But you do have all this work to do on the way up there. Hold me, Frankie. Shout out to Jake from Reddit, not Jake from State Farm. But shout out to you, brother. Get in here, brother. Crypto hug. Let's see. Shout out to Perry. Said, Frankie, in the premium Discord, we can import your charts into TradingView. Yes. Shout out to Perry. If you come on into... Just pull up my face cam here real quick because I don't want to leak any secret Discord info here. Let me just scrub up a bit. Where's it at? Yeah, so if you come on into the premium and you come on over to chart links, oh my God. If you come on over to chart links, this is where I share my charts, and you can import them into your TradingView. That way, you can just pull up the Bitcoin chart, pull up your object tree, and you will see all my folders here with all the TA marked out, so you don't even have to do the TA. We do all the work for you. Not that you shouldn't learn how to do the work, which is a big part of the Discord, but yeah, you will have all these levels, and you have the object tree with all the folders and stuff, so everything is marked out. We also put the setups on there oftentimes as well, so you kind of know where the next trades we're looking for are. So there you go, guys. We're already look at this, guys. I just can't I can't make these streams shorter. I try every single day, but with all that being said, guys, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I got to get out of here. I need to start setting timers, guys, because I just go overtime every single time. We just get caught up taking a look at random altcoins pumping sometimes. But thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us here. We got Base Bailey. Shout out to Cypherium. Shout out to Perry. Shout out to Milio, Jesse. Shout out to Jake from State Farm. Shout out to Tommy. Shout out to Mustang Rich. Any news on Arweave? We'll take a look at Arweave tomorrow for sure. It was getting a little pop to the upside. Hashtag short stream. But don't forget to smash that like button on your way out, guys. If you appreciate these daily live streams, watch out for Bitcoin. I'm either going to be stopped out of that long or we'll be up big time tomorrow. But I'm just waiting for those next key levels to get hit. And I will keep you guys updated here with the market updates and the daily live streams. Shout out to the CandleMafia. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. what is mine, I can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got the time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
I forgot who said it in the chat, but somebody said, tell us about Black Friday tomorrow. But yes, guys, we will be doing Discord deals for the premium Discord. I'll keep you guys updated on that. I'll probably be able to make an announcement tomorrow once we get it all sorted out. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Shout out to everybody in here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time. You know the rest. Hasta pasta. I have to pee. Frankie Candle's out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it